The best anime shows are always up for debate. There are veterans who will always stick with the same canon of classics, while many will argue for the new generation of shonen series that are dominating the landscape. But which anime shows are really the greatest? We have the answer. Ahead, we'll give you our picks for the best anime to watch in 2025. That includes modern-day masterpieces, slice-of-life shows that still hold up today, and even some genres you might not have experienced yet, including my favorite sports series, Haikyuu. Below, there's everything you need to find your next anime favorite. From popular shows to cult classics, these are our essential picks for the 25 best anime shows to watch right now. Attack on Titan. Based on a manga series started in 2009, Attack on Titan's initial premise revolves around humanity's perpetual war against the monstrous titans that lurk just outside the walls of civilization. Following the death of his mother at a titan's hands and jaws, a boy named Eren decides to fight back. What follows is an anime series that is filled with heart-pounding action, nerve-jangling moments of horror, and a body count that would make Game of Thrones blush. It stands taller than most anime for its continued ability to metamorphose amid some truly shocking twists. What began as a seemingly standard man versus monster anime later transformed into a deeper exploration of morality, revenge, and whether someone should be defined by their history's sins. Essential viewing for all anime fans, especially now that the show has come to a close. Chainsaw Man. Few anime arrived with as much hype as Chainsaw Man, and few delivered on expectations as effortlessly as the adaptation of Tatsuki Fujimoto's stylish manga. Chainsaw Man revolves around a down-on-his-luck hero named Denji who, thanks to a bizarre twist of fate, is suddenly reborn as a demon human with the power to transform into a chainsaw-wielding fiend. What Chainsaw Man lacks in subtlety, it more than makes up for with its brutal action, gang of wildly entertaining cast members, and a cinematic eye that lampoons everything from Quentin Tarantino to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. With a Chainsaw Man movie on the way this fall, there's no better time to jump into the story of Denji and his lovable chainsaw pooch, Pochita. Cowboy Bebop. The short-lived Netflix live-action series may have soured some on the series, but there's a reason why Cowboy Bebop is almost always seen as shorthand for classic anime. It has every right to be that confident. The story follows Spike Spiegel and his motley crew of bounty hunters as they attempt to snare some of the galaxy's most wanted criminals in the hope of some woolongs and a warm meal. Each episode explodes in a burst of color and chaos as Spike, the stoic Jet, Hair Trigger Faye, energetic Ed, and uber-smart Dogging move towards their next target in frenetic fashion. Beneath it all, it's tinged with a sense of melancholy, each member of the Bebop crew trapped by their tragic pasts. There's never been a show quite like this. Many have tried to replicate its sense of coolness and charm since all have failed. Cyberpunk. Edgerunners. Cyberpunk 2077 landed with a disappointing thud upon its release in 2020. The Netflix anime adaptation Cyberpunk Edgerunners, set before the events of the CD Projekt Red game, helped form a major part of one of gaming's unlikeliest comeback stories. A breezy 10-episode limited series sees luckless student David Martinez head into the murkier depths of Night City to become an edgerunner, a jack-of-all-trades fixer who can live on the edge and lend a hand to some of the dystopian Megacity's seedier elements. Along the way, David meets several chooms, including Netrunner Lucy. It's this relationship that forms the beating heart of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but Studio Trigger wisely wraps it up in an impossibly cool setting, flashy animation, and a story filled with megacorps and criminal conspiracies that surprisingly stings hardest when you least expect it to. A true modern classic. Dan Da Dan. Very few anime series arrived with as much expectation as Dan Da Dan. Fewer still lived up to the hype right out the gate with a supernatural-infused showcase of why anime is reaching new heights in 2025, revolving around the twin plights of UFO enthusiast Okaran and ghost believer Momo. The pair grow closer together as they investigate a series of spooky goings-on while, ironically, removing each other's skepticism about the other's occult and extraterrestrial interests. Bundled with kinetic, poppy-style, laugh-out-loud jokes aplenty, and a sense of style that makes it stand out from the crowd, Dan Da Dan is one of the most accomplished anime shows in recent years, and demands to be seen on Netflix. Death Note. If you're a newcomer to anime and don't know where to begin, start with Death Note. Not only is the English dub just as good as the subtitled version a real rarity, it's got one of the most recognizable and Western arcs, good guy turned bad, in the vein of a Breaking Bad or Ozark. Light Yagami is a teenager who happens across the titular Death Note, a notebook that allows its user to kill anyone anonymously just by writing down their name. Light uses this power to bump off some of Japan's most hardened criminals and, inevitably, starts to dream a little bigger. As the net closes in on Light, a compelling cat-and-mouse game between him and Master Detective L ensues. A breathless drama that will have you hooked until its very last scene. Death Note deserves to be spoken of in the same breath as some of television's most talked about prestige dramas. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is the most popular anime on the planet right now, and for good reason. It boasts some of the most exciting and hard-hitting fight scenes ever committed to screen. Animation studio Ufotable has always been renowned for its mastery of action, but it soars past its own lofty standards here. In the hit anime, Tanjiro seeks revenge for his family's death at the hands of demons, leading him down a path to become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. Throughout Tanjiro's journey, he butts heads with fearsome demons from the Demon Moon clan. Like most of the best anime, Demon Slayer juggles its intensity with a sprinkling of genuinely side-splitting moments. Tanjiro's companions, Zenitsu, a cowardly warrior who can only fight when he's asleep, and Inosuke, a hot-headed boy who wears the head of a boar, are always on hand to keep things from ever getting to maudlin. The real highlight here is the show's brutal and balletic Demon vs. Demon Slayer showdowns. They're worth the price of admission alone. Dragon Ball. There's no denying that Akira Toriyama is the king of shonen. Dragon Ball is one of the most influential anime out there, laying the way for a ton of different protagonists to follow in Goku's food and fighting-obsessed footsteps. But although watching all of Dragon Ball in order may seem intimidating at first glance with over 24 movies and 600+ episodes, what truly makes Dragon Ball a masterpiece is how beginner-friendly it is as an introduction to the shonen genre. Although you're probably more familiar with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball was our first introduction to Goku, and we saw him as a kid learning about his Saiyan origins and the power of the Dragon Balls. He sets out to collect all 7 magical balls, would summon the Dragon Shenron and combats evil along the way. Dragon Ball is the shortest series in the franchise, but it does a great job laying out the world and is full of charm and laughter. It's a must-watch before you crack on with Dragon Ball Z, and then, later, the new anime Dragon Ball Daima, Fate Zero. The Fate Stay Night series is a sprawling universe that centers around the Holy Grail, a mythical object that allows whoever obtains it to have their wishes fulfilled. But it's not that easy. Every few generations, magic users, known as masters, clash in a battle royale-style conflict to get their hands on the Grail. They're aided in that crusade by servants, legendary warriors pulled from the pages of real-world history and legends, such as Gilgamesh and King Arthur. It all culminates in a breakneck rush of entertaining action and plot twists that almost demand the show be binged in one sitting. The best thing, if you like it, there are several movies and series in the Fate universe for you to dive into next. Frieren Beyond Journey's End. There's a reason why Frieren Beyond Journey's End is currently the highest-rated anime of all time. Based on the manga by Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe, Frieren Beyond Journey's End follows the saga of elven mage Frieren who, long after defeating a great evil, returns to see her fellow heroes ravaged by an unstoppable enemy, time itself. As she mourns the loss of one hero, Hamel, she embarks on an epic odyssey of connection, friendship, and belonging in a joyous 28-episode run. A true must-see, and pleasingly, Frieren Beyond Journey's End Season 2 has been announced for 2026. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, possibly the greatest anime of all time. It's not hard to see why Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is so revered thanks to its pitch-perfect blend of world-building, fantasy, action, and trauma. After a ritual to bring back their dead mother goes wrong, Edward's younger brother, Alphonse, loses his body, and his soul is trapped inside a suit of armor. As they search for the Philosopher's Stone, they are dragged into a mystic war waged across nations, and a conspiracy that leads to the very heart of their nation's government. FMA Brotherhood's greatest strength lies in its impeccable pacing. It starts off pretty low-key, including that infamous Nina episode, and soon spirals out into epic battles as the seven homunculi and the mysterious father stand in Edward's way. It's all wrapped up in the final act that is so inherently bombastic and entertaining that it could only be brought to life in anime. Haikyuu follows the trials and tribulations of Hinata, a pint-sized volleyball player at Karasuno High harboring lofty ambitions to be the world's best. The magic of Haikyuu, though, is that you don't need to be a fan of volleyball or sport at all, really, to enjoy it. The show slowly builds up your understanding of the game alongside Hinata, and each season usually climaxes in epic matches that stand alongside any shonen anime in terms of action and raw emotion. As Haikyuu wears on, you'll laugh, cheer, and gasp as Karasuno's eclectic squad, including the miserly perfectionist Setter Kageyama and nervous wallflower Shigawara, suffer through the highs and lows of high school volleyball. This is the perfect entry point for those who want to try out sports anime for the first time. The series is set to draw to a close with Haikyuu vs The Little Giant in the near future. Fruits Basket. While shoujo anime can be a bit of a mixed bag, no matter what anime fan you are, you have to admit that Fruits Basket is a touching and well-done story. In fact, it's easily one of the best romance anime around, and the 2019 reboot is especially stunning if you need to pick which version of this classic to watch as well. The show tells the story of a lonely teen girl called Toru Honda, who begins living in a house with her popular classmate Yuki Soma and his hot-headed cousin Shigeru. However, there's a twist. It turns out that the spirits of the Chinese zodiac possess her new roommates, with some fun antics around the boys turning into animals. During the worst times, laughter is sprinkled throughout an otherwise moving narrative that is packed with tragic backstories and heavy themes. Jealousy, trauma, anxiety, and the pain of fighting against fate are all rolled up into a pretty package here. Fruits Basket proves that shoujo anime aren't just wholesome and fluffy affairs. They can easily unpack the darkest and most relatable of human experiences as well. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a phenomenon. The anime has already spanned a decade and continues to this day with Stone Ocean on Netflix and the upcoming Steel Ball run. The show is an anthology of sorts, with each new series telling the tale of another member of the Joestar family, a group imbued with supernatural powers that protect them in their seemingly eternal war against series villain Dio and his many disciples. The driving appeal behind JoJo's is its constant ability to reinvent itself. From its first series through to Stardust Crusaders and beyond, each season feels like a fresh new anime waiting to be devoured. It's also loud and garish, harkening back to a time when anime was perhaps a little less subdued. As a celebration of the weird and wonderful, with some outright absurd fights thrown in for good measure, you could do a lot worse than JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen went from New Kid on the Block to one of the hottest series in anime in record time. The show revolves around Yuji, a student who becomes embroiled in a world of sorcery and supernatural beings after he, in effect, merges with a curse being named Sukuna, featuring thrilling fights, gorgeous visuals, and a story that never loses momentum after a killer first episode. Jujutsu Kaisen is a razor-sharp reinvention of the shonen genre. Last year's second season fired on all cylinders, wowing fans with a further layer of depth and tragedy. It's probably the best recent anime around, so well worth checking out. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 has also been announced. Monster. Thanks to Anime's proclivity for licensing issues, Monster hasn't had as much acclaim as it so richly deserves. But it's now on Netflix, and you're in for a treat. This is a psychological thriller that burrows its way into your brain and won't leave until long after you've finished the 70-plus episode run. Monster sees brain surgeon Kenzo Tenma ostracized after performing a hospital procedure on a young boy instead of the city's mayor. Soon, bodies start piling up, and Tenma is the prime suspect. Years later, Tenma discovers that the boy he operated on is, in fact, a serial killer. The series deals with Tenma attempting to overcome the fact that he has inadvertently created a monster, and what he must do to stop him. Neon Genesis Evangelion. On the surface, Neon Genesis Evangelion is an anime about a 14-year-old boy named Shinji piloting an EVA mech to save the world from alien threats. Yet, it's far, far deeper than that. What starts as a mecha show soon unravels into an exploration of teenage loneliness, parental abandonment, and mental health issues. Fellow pilots Rei and Asuka also act as endpoints for Neon Genesis Evangelion's more mature and introspective themes, with director Hideaki Anno never shying away from the unflinching truths of growing up. That even overruns into the very material itself. Its final few episodes, famously, transcend the very boundaries of what you should expect from an anime, or any TV show, period. If you thought anime was all about big battles with very little substance, the 1990s classic is here to prove you very wrong. It's a daring, experimental series at a time when the medium was perhaps slightly unwilling to take risks. One Piece. Okay, before we get into this entry, we have to warn you, One Piece isn't just an anime. At this point, it's a lifestyle. With over 1,000 episodes, including a sprinkling of One Piece filler, your time will truly be taken by Monkey D. Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates. But trust us, it's well worth it. One Piece follows the adventures of the rubber-limbed Luffy as he sets out to sail the Grand Line in search of a treasure known as the One Piece and become king of the pirates. Few worlds are as colorful and imaginative as the ones seen in this anime. From pirate clowns to eccentric villains with powers given by various devil fruits, One Piece never gets stale. And even after 1,000 episodes and multiple hours, you'll never get bored. Looking at the One Piece manga release schedule and the One Piece Egghead Island release schedule, we're also finally coming towards the end of this epic story. So now is the best chance to start watching the series before the grand finale sails our way. Pluto, based on the manga by Naoki Urasawa and itself a remix of an acclaimed Astro Boy arc. Pluto is a gripping sci-fi murder mystery that sees Detective Gesicht on the hunt for a serial killer who has been bumping off the world's great robots, of which he himself is one. With the clock ticking and a geopolitical powder keg serving as its backdrop, the Netflix series dives headfirst into themes of identity, trauma, and what it means to be human, where Pluto really kicks into gear, though, is in its juicy premise. With several culprits and an ensemble of richly drawn cast members only enhanced by its always excellent English dub, Pluto charts a similar menacing course to Urasawa's other masterpiece Monster, but infuses it with enough sci-fi sleights of hand-and robot trickery to ensure that you'll be hooked from start to exhilarating finish. Pokémon. You may not have realized it at the time, but the Pokémon TV show was very likely your first introduction and gateway drug into the world of anime. Initially revolving around Ash's dream to be a Pokémon master, the series grew to a behemoth size, encompassing the myriad new mana and fresh regions that would be introduced in the game. Still, our heart lies with the original clutch of seasons involving Ash, Brock, and Misty. We cheered when Ash got his first Shin badge, we cried when he let his Butterfree go, and we hummed along to the inescapable earworm of its theme tune. Its legacy, though, is that it still remains with us, and is a warm hug of an anime that we're happy to return back to today. If you're playing catch-up or simply want to watch them all, you'll need our guide on how to watch Pokémon in order. Run with the Wind. Run with the Wind is an anime about running. No, wait, come back. It's really, really good. The adaptation of a 2006 novel by Shinmura tells the story of Kakeru, a down-on-his-luck axe runner who attempts to conquer the Hakone Ekiden Relay Marathon with his roommates, almost all of whom are beginners. As the show wears on, the hopeless group of runners soon find their rhythm, overcoming personal hurdles in the process. The final stretch of the 23-episode run is among the most tense and gripping on this list, with some genuinely touching moments to boot. An anime about friendship, chasing your dreams, and never giving up, Run with the Wind is a true hidden gem that should appeal to sports and non-sports fans alike. Solo Leveling, with Attack on Titan rumbling off stage right, and Demon Slayer's dying embers being extinguished with its upcoming movie trilogy, anime desperately needed a new hero to step into the fold. Enter Soon Jinwoo and Solo Leveling, a high-octane, action-packed shonen that will surely become a touchstone for the next generation of anime fans. Solo Leveling centers around the story of down-on-his luck hunter Jinwoo, who suddenly becomes a force to be reckoned with after a chance link-up with the system, a program designed to help rise through the ranks, RPG style. From there, Solo Leveling fizzes through a series of gripping encounters and crunching story arcs, complete with enough world building and lore to keep you intrigued well into the upcoming Solo Leveling Season 3. Steins Gate. From its very first moments, Steins Gate grabs hold of you and doesn't let go. After finding the body of a dead researcher at a time travel conference, mad scientist Rintaro Okabe soon discovers he can send text messages back in time. And fortunately for Rintaro, this draws the attention of shadowy organizations who would kill to get their hands on Rintaro's D-mail device. What starts as a goofy time travel adventure soon evolves into a fraught, nail-biting drama that's filled with gut punch after gut punch. As the net closes in on Rintaro, he must make an impossible choice to save those close to him. Violet Evergarden, following a teenage girl as she recovers from injuries suffered while serving in her nation's army. This Netflix anime is a powerful, affecting journey that will have you sobbing like a baby by the time its brief 13-episode run is over. During the series, the stoic, robot-like Violet Evergarden sheds off the trauma and grief of the war and her presumed dead major to take up letter writing as an auto-memory doll. As a scribe, she helps uncover her own emotions while helping others express theirs. Throughout the letter of the week format, mothers become closer to daughters, lovers find the right words to say, and fathers mourn the loss of their children. It's the sort of story that only anime can pull off, a deeply emotional character study on love, loss and longing as Violet slowly becomes more and more human. Vinland Saga, the likes of the God of War reboot, and the recent Vikings Valhalla series on Netflix prove there's plenty of life left in Norse mythology and myth-making. Vinland Saga takes it a step further, first charting the story of legendary warrior Thors before his son Thorfinn takes up the mantle. Running parallel to Thorfinn's brutal, personal tale is a Danish quest for supremacy as nations jostle for control of 11th century Europe. The second season, which aired in 2023, proved Vinland Saga wasn't just a spectacular one-off, taking the show in a brave new direction and reframing its saga as one of pacifism. Let's hope we set sail on Vinland Saga Season 3 very soon.